Hey guys, my name is Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking VR headsets, specifically VR headsets for PCVR. Now, the reason I'm talking about this, if you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me for any amount of time on Twitter or even Blue Sky, you've seen me talk, and even on this channel, you've seen me talk quite a bit about PCVR. And I love PCVR. I like VR gaming in general. Is it my primary way of gaming? No. But it is an alternative and something that I like to do. If there's a game that interests me, I will play it in VR if I can. If there's like a native VR option, I'm not really big on a lot of VR mods. Some of them are really cool. Like I really like the UE VR mod, but for the most part, I like to play native made for VR games. And so with that, I have three headsets. This is my Quest 3 that I bought at the beginning of the year. I have the Quest 2. This was my first VR headset. And then I have the PSVR 2, which is my newest. Now, these are three common options that people use, and according to the Steam hardware survey as well, these are the ones I see the most questions about online. People ask about the index still a little bit too, but most people agree online that the index is a little bit long in the tooth at this point. So most people aren't recommending that you go out and buy an index, especially not for $1,000. Honestly, everything I've read online, I don't own an index, says that these two guys massively destroy the index for half the price. So take that as what you will. So I'm going to actually play a little bit of devil's advocate. I'm going to talk about each of the headsets in context of PCVR only. We're not talking standalone here because most videos, because there's a million videos talking about these three headsets and the Quest 3S, which I'm not touching on here because basically most of what, at least from what I've read online, most of what I'll say about the Quest 2 will apply to the 3S as well. But basically, most people talk about the Quest, most people talk about VR headsets in terms of either standalone, in terms of the Quest, or using the PSVR 2 with a PS5, but almost nobody talks about using these guys with a PC. You see very little content about that. So I'm going to talk about some pros, talk about some cons, talk about what it is I actually like about each of them in that context. So, number one, let's start with my original, my OG, Quest 2. The Quest 2 is a really good entry-level PCVR headset, especially if you can get it for a good price. When I say get it for a good price, I'm thinking, can you get it for like 100, maybe 150 bucks? If you can get this guy for 150 bucks, that's actually a really good deal. And I would highly recommend, you checking this out and trying it for about 150 bucks used. It's completely wireless. You can go up to, I want to say 120 hertz on this guy. It might be 144. I actually generally forget. You can do high refresh rate, VR gaming. The resolution is a little bit low, especially compared to the PSVR 2 and the Quest 3, but it's also an older headset. Completely wireless, and you can use the Steam Link app, and it just works with Steam. In my experience, that's how I tend to use my Quest headsets with PCs with the Steam Link app. It is really just a couple clicks, and you're in there from the Steam Quest homepage on the screen. The controllers are pretty solid. These are the controllers. You have the little halo rings here. I think they're kind of clunky in that sense. Like I would love to get rid of the rings, but the rings are fine. They never really impede gameplay at all. The buttons are nice and big. Everything feels responsive to me, and it's actually a fairly comfortable controller. All things said, it's really solid, and like I said, it's good. It's a good entry level headset for PC VR. I wouldn't recommend it for standalone, and I wouldn't recommend it paying more than say like 150 bucks for one. And even that might be a stretch. If you can find one, like I said, for about 100, 125, I would say, yeah, maybe jump on this. But once you get closer to 200 bucks, I say save a little bit more, just get a 3S, because of the benefits you'll get from having the Quest 3 games playable on that headset. And the only real downside to the Quest 3S, I mean, is that the processor, or not the processor, the lenses are the same lenses from the PSVR 2. But you have the processor from the 3. So if you're only using it for PCVR, Quest 2 is great, but anything beyond that, I would say get the 3S or get the 3. Next, let's talk about the Quest 3. I love this guy. It is a massive upgrade from the 2, so both in standalone and even with PCVR. I initially, when I got it, was only using my Quest for PCVR, and I immediately noticed the difference. When I started playing games on it, the resolution is so much higher, the colors are better, the lenses are better, everything from what I saw on here just looks better. But it's also $500. So, you know, it's not the cheapest thing out there. I love the controllers for this guy. Let me grab the controllers here. I do have covers on here. Usually the controllers are all white, but I bought these grip covers because I wanted the handle there, so that way I wouldn't actually lose my controllers. They're great. I love the buttons. It's basically the same layout as the Quest 2, but without the giant halo ring, which I actually think is a massive improvement. While the ring on the Quest 2 didn't impede my gameplay, these just feel a lot better. They're also a lot more responsive, which is going to be very important because when you're using the Quest with your PC, especially if you're doing it wirelessly, you're going to be going over Wi-Fi, so there is going to introduce a little bit of latency. So you want to be concerned with that. But other than that, I think this is a fantastic headset to have for PCVR. I think this might be your best bang for buck PC of the 3 because not every game comes to PCVR, but basically everything comes to the Quest. I think the only game I could think of games that never came to Quest that I have on PC are Vertigo. The Vertigo 1 and 2 games. Those games are probably, the developer said he's never putting them on a Quest. They're on PC. They're fine. Of course, Half-Life is on PC. It's not on the Quest. I can't think of much more. Most games come to the Quest. So even if you want to play it standalone, or I mean with a PC, you can use a standalone if there's still a game that you want to play that you're going to miss out on. Like I'm using a standalone for Batman, for example. But pretty much everything else, if it's on PC, I will wait for the Steam version if I have the choice even. I generally will play it on PC. Lastly, this is my daily driver, the PSVR 2. This is my favorite of the 3. It's also the newest. I love it because it has lower latency than the Quest, even over Wi-Fi, and I have pretty decent Wi-Fi, though I am using Wi-Fi 5 still. It is a really solid VR headset, I think mostly because it's wired, so you have to worry about the wired connection. Keep that cable in mind, especially if you're doing room scale VR, if you're standing there, or like I sit in this chair sometimes and I'll play, like I've been playing Max Mustard on this guy, and sometimes you have to be careful of the cord so it doesn't get caught under the chair, but I don't really want to stand while I'm playing a 3D platformer in VR. That person makes me nauseous, so I sit down and I use this guy. The controllers, they're fantastic, though they do have the halo rings. They're not as comfortable as the Quest 3. That would be my biggest complaint about the PSVR 2. I love the colors on the lenses, though, as well, and I love the lower latency. But this ring is annoying. This ring is incredibly annoying. It does impede my gameplay a little bit, and these buttons are really teeny tiny compared to the Quest 3's buttons. Let me grab my Quest 3 controllers. They're really small by comparison, and you can feel that difference. And having the little it's called the little, I don't know if you call it what they call the create and whatever buttons on the PlayStation. They have those here too. And this guy feels like it's just so out of place when you need it for something like for screenshots or to just pull up the menus. You can use the PlayStation button for some of that functionality too. It just feels so those feel out of place. So I don't think the controllers are as good as what you get with the Quest, but it is super responsive, and once you can get used to it. I have adapted to it. I've had it for a few months for my PC, so you can adapt to it, but I'd rather just be able to just play my games. Lastly, with the PSVR 2, I love the colors. I think the color reproduction on there is better than the Quest, even though it's at a lower resolution. Those OLED lenses are really nice, even if they are Fresnel lenses instead of the pancakes. They're fine. They look I think both look fantastic. I think even though the PSVR 2 is my personal favorite, especially if you can get it on a deal. Right now, I think it's $350 on Amazon. Remember, you also have to buy the adapter for your PC, which is another $50, so you're going to pay about $400. I think that is a great option. And if you have a PS5 already, the PlayStation 5 does have its own set of exclusives. Of course, the Quest does too. Then I think the PSVR 2 is a great choice for you if you want to pair it with your PS5, and you can use it with your PC. Though speaking specifically for PCVR, this is my choice. This is my go-to. I do find it to be the most comfortable of the three, even with the Quest 3 head straps, because you're going to have to buy a head strap for your 2 or your 3, because the one that comes with it are trash. Like, I basically swap out the headset and just toss the straps in the garbage. They're terrible. Trying to think any other points here. That's really about it that I can think of. Is if you want to use standalone wireless, the Quest 3 is the way to go. If you want just a cheap entry-level PC VR headset, I think the Quest 2 is the way to go. If you want the best bang for your buck workhorse PC VR headset, I think the Quest 3 is that, because you're going to get access to almost everything. Even if you have a PS5, I would still probably, unless you like are really like interested in the handful of PlayStation VR exclusive games they have, I still think for most people the Quest 3 is the better choice. But for me personally, just personal preferences, personal biases, I actually really like the PSVR 2 because of that lower latency, because of the better colors. And because it's it feels like a native PC VR headset, so I don't have to like go into the Quest system and then open up the Steam link and then connect to the PC and then get into my games. I just go into Steam, I turn this on, turn my controllers on, go into Steam, start my game, and just start playing. So that's where my personal preference comes in. Like, I like the process of it, I like the colors on it, and I like using it. This just for me feels like a better user experience. It gets to the point easily, more quickly, I guess I would say. But that's going to be different for everyone. Everyone's going to have a different preference, and I think for most people the Quest is going to be great. If you don't want to give Meta money, which I understand, like a lot of people really just don't like Meta, then the PSVR 2 is a great option too, especially when it's on sale, and or if you have a PS5. So those are kind of my thoughts on this guy. Let me know, do you have a VR headset? Do you have any of these three? Do you have all of these three? Do you have an Index? So maybe you can give some perspective versus these guys versus an Index. Let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time. Share with a friend, and thanks for watching.